Hi and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today's project, we're going to be installing floating shelves on the wall over here. Now you can just put them up there and hope for the best and hope you hit a stud on the wall, but you never want to take a chance with something like that. When you're installing a shelf like this, you're going to have a lot of weight sitting on it, so you have to make sure you install it and you're on a stud so it doesn't really move. All right, so let me show you what kind of tools we're going to need, and then we're going to get started and we're going to get this job done. All right, here's an example of what we're going to be needing. First and most important, you're going to be needing a stud finder. You don't have to have this particular one. Any stud finder will do. We're going to need a screwdriver. We're going to need an assortment of drill bits. Of course, we're going to need a pencil, a ruler to measure, the brackets that come with the shelf itself. Most important, we're going to need a level. You can use a 2-foot level. You can use a small little 6 or 10-inch level, depending on what you have. The main thing is you just make sure that it's level when you're installing the shelf on the wall. We're going to need a driver to actually install the screws into the wall. We're going to need a drill, as I said, with an assortment of different bits so that we can actually make the proper holes in the wall. We are also using some tape, some painter's tape, to mark the wall, so that way we can put it exactly where we want it, make sure that that's where we want it, and then drill our holes and mount it up there. This is the back part that has to be mounted against. Let me show you how we did it on this one here, and you'll have a better idea. Okay, so this is what we do. We have to mount this bracket with the wood to the wall. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take our bracket, determine exactly where we want to put it on the wall right here, keeping in mind that the shelf itself is 3/8 of an inch thick. So you want to make sure we're going to mount it up here, which is 10 3/8 of an inch from the top of this shelf. So that way when we install the shelf on it, it's going to be a 10-inch space between the top of the one shelf and the bottom of the other shelves. But that's personal preference. That's up to you where you want to mount it and how you want to mount that. All right, so now next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our stud finder. We're going to come up here and we're going to locate exactly where our studs are in the wall. Okay, so now we put our tape on the wall where we wanted to mount it. We're going to take our level, put our level exactly on the tape, and then we're going to make sure that the bubble is exactly dead center, which you have to take my word for it, it's actually exactly dead center right now. All right, so that's where we're going to mount the bottom of the shelf. We then take our stud finder and we come in here to locate the studs. As you can see, I already marked where the studs are. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to come in here with your stud finder and just run it across the wall until you come up to where the stud is. So we know the stud starts here and it ends here. So we're going to put these screws right in the center of the stud here. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing over here, but this one is a little bit different. This one seems to be coming up as a double stud in the wall. I'm not sure if that's the way it is, but that's the way it's coming up. You can see the stud starts there and it ends there. So that's a fairly large stud that's in there, if that's what it is. It may be two studs close together, but there could be a space in the middle of it. So what we're going to do, just to confirm that, we're going to take a small drill bit and we're going to drill tiny little holes in the wall right here to confirm that we're going to be putting the screws directly in the center of that stud right here. It's important that the screws get into at least 2 studs. If your shelf is a short shelf and you're only going to catch it on 1 stud, then the procedure would be different, because then you need to open up the wall and install a piece of wood inside here. But that's not the case here today. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get our drill and we're going to take a very, very small drill bit, a 1/16 of an inch, and we're going to come in here and we're going to drill small pilot holes along here to make sure where our stud actually starts. So here is where I want to put these screws, because that's where it's probably going to start. Here is where the stud is located. So we're just going to screw it in here. And see, you can feel it hitting the stud. Now we're going to put the screw right here, so I want to make sure that that's a stud there. and that's solid there as well. We're going to go just a little bit more this way, and it's still the stud. So we know by putting a screw here, we are going to be dead center of that stud, top to bottom. Now let's come over here, and we're going to do the exact same thing over here. I know that the center stud is right here, so that's where we're going to put a small little pilot hole to confirm it. And you can feel it hitting the stud in the wall. Now we know it starts approximately here, and there is where it just starts, right here. You can see here, see how it goes in really far? So we're not on the stud there. The stud starts there. So this spot right here is perfect. It's going to be in the middle of that 2x4 stud that's in the wall. So that's where we're going to put it, right there. All right, next thing we're going to do now is we're going to take our mounting board that comes supplied with it, and we're going to bring it up so that it's even on the bottom, and we're going to put it on here as far away from the cabinet here as we choose to. I'm making this one 1 1/4 inches away from the cabinet itself, and that's just personal preference. We're going to line this up directly on the bottom right here and right here. Okay, you can see it's directly on there. Let's take our level now, put our level on top, and make sure that it's exactly where it's supposed to be, which is perfect right there. Okay, so now we know that this is level. It's on the mark that we wanted right here, and it should be from this point to this point. It should be 10 3/8 inches from here to here, because the shelf itself is 3/8, and I wanted 10 inches in between. Okay, next we take our bracket. We put our bracket in here so that the screws are going to go directly into that stud. We're going to hold the bracket so that it's even with the top of the wood on top right here. Just like that, line it up right there. We are going to take our pencil. We're going to put a small little dot here and here. And that's where our 2 main screws are going to go through directly into the stud. And we have our mark down on the bottom so we know where the stud is actually located. All right, but make sure your bracket is even with the top up here. So these 2 holes we're going to drill first. Let's grab our drill and we'll drill those out. This particular application, it calls for 5/32, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to drill this first one through all the way, straight as you can. Same exact thing right here. Okay. You know what, let me get this other shelf out of the way here so we don't make a mess on top of it, and then we'll continue with that. Okay, so now that we have those holes drilled, we're going to take our tape off. We have our marks on the bottom where it's supposed to be, just so you know. Let's take the tape out of the way. We're going to take our bracket. The brackets, just so you know, they are marked right and left, just so you know. All right, so then this comes up here like this, and these can mount it just like that. So let's grab our screws and let's put it together. Now I know you probably know this already, but you're going to use your longer screws. They come provided. They are 3 inches. We're going to take them and we're going to put it through that hole right there. And we're just going to start them just a little bit. Now we're going to bring our bracket up here. And we'll line it up with the hole that it's in. We're going to take our driver and we're going to drive it in snug. Not all the way in, just till it's snug. Okay, so it's still loose, just so you know. We're going to take it now like that. We're going to hold this so it's even with the top of the shelf itself, and we're going to install this screw and this screw, and that holds the bracket in place. Now these don't have to be pre-drilled. These you can just screw in with your driver, but we're going to hold the bracket so it's exactly straight. Put it in there. Again, it's a little bit loose. We're going to take our next one, bring it in here, just like that. Make sure it's even with the top. And now we're going to tighten both of the smaller screws up, even with the top up here, which it is. And now we'll grab our next screw and we'll put it in right there. Okay, let's put the level up here again, make sure it's exactly level, which it is. Now just so you know, we have this screw is snug, these two smaller screws are tight, but this piece of wood is still movable up and down. If it's not lined up exactly center, you can move it. Alright, so next we're going to take our bracket here. We put a small mark on the bottom where the stud is located. We're going to bring this up in here. We're going to put this even with the top of the piece of wood, right up on top right here. It's even. We're going to drill a small hole there. And there. We put our two marks here, and that's where we're going to drill them. Alright, we're going to hold this in place, and now we're going to drill right through here. Okay, so now we have those holes drilled as well, and now we're going to mount our bracket on here. Now we're going to take our bracket, bring the screw into here. Remember, we're not driving this all the way in yet. We're just going to bring it in until it's snug. Make sure it's even with the top of the piece of wood. Now remember, we still have it loose in here. We don't have it tight yet. It's even on the top by the wood up here, and now we're going to drive these two screws in, which will secure that bracket in its present location. Okay, let's put a second screw in here. Make sure it's even on top. Okay, now those two screws are tight. Let's put this one in and the other one on the other side, and we're just about finished. Okay, same thing right here. Okay, so now these two screws here are tight. These two screws are tight. Everything is lined up on the top right here, and that's on to stay. Let's do the same thing on this one right here now. Nice and tight. Let's tighten this one up. Okay, everything is nice and tight. This bracket lines up exactly with the top over here. This bracket lines up exactly here. That's it, they're ready to go. Let's grab our shelf, let's put it on there. Okay, let's put our shelves on and make sure that it fits perfectly the way it's supposed to. All right, let's put our second shelf on. That's it, perfect. Now the only thing we still have to do is I have to drill a small hole up on the top. I'll show you this one. A small hole here and a small hole here to put these small screws in here to keep the shelf from sliding off when you're working on it. So let's take the shelf off, we'll drill our holes in it and secure it in place, and that'll be it. But that's how it is, nice and tight. Once it's screwed on, this shelf is not moving. All right, so let's take it off and let's put those small holes in and we'll finish it off. Okay, next we had to come up underneath here and we had to drill small holes right in here with the screws to hold it onto the bracket that's on the wall so that it doesn't move. So what we did is we came up over here. I'll show you real quick. We came up over here, we marked the location of where we wanted it, which is going to be pretty much right here and right here. And just so you know, the piece of wood on the wall is 3/4 of an inch thick. So we're going to come out about 3/8 of an inch, and we're going to drill a hole here and here. So let's bring the shelf down and we'll continue. Okay, so here we marked where we're going to put our screws through here and here. Now remember, the piece of wood on the wall is 3/4 of an inch thick, which means that we only have a small distance to drill into from here to there. So we're going to go probably right around here, and we're going to drill a small hole right there. And then we'll come over here, and we're going to drill a small hole right there. All right, we're going to disregard those two because they're in the wrong place. We're going to grab our drill. It's an 1/8 inch drill bit, just so you know. We're going to put it on here, and we're going to drill very slowly through the wood. Same thing on this side over here. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to countersink these holes, because when you put these screws in here, you see how the screw is tapered on the bottom? We're going to countersink this very slightly so that the screw is recessed in and it doesn't stick up. So we're going to take our tool like this, put it in here, and we're just going to bevel this out just a little bit. Just like that for the screw to be recessed in there. Same thing on this one right here. And that's it. Let's bring it back up, and we'll screw it in and we'll be all finished. Okay, let's slide our shelf on like this. And we're going to line it up with the small little marks that we made on the wall so we have the shelf in the exact spot that we wanted it. We're going to grab our screws. This I screw it in by hand. I don't like using a driver on this because it's such a delicate spot. So we're going to put this in here like this, and we'll screw it down. Push the shelf against the wall, and then we'll tighten it down all the way. Okay, and this recess, so you'll even see the screw unless you stand right on top of it. Next, we'll put this other screw right inside here. Push it against the wall again. Okay, nice and flush. And that's it, our shelves are done. Okay, so that's it, our shelves are on. And it is normal, just so you know, for the shelves to move up from the bottom a little bit, because that's the way they're actually designed. It sits on top of those metal brackets and it will not move. But that's it, these shelves will be on here just about forever. When you have 3-inch screws going directly into a stud, it's not going anyplace. All right, let's clean up all this stuff, and then this job is done, and we're on to the next one. All right, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.